Week 14 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few defense DST units I look to start this week. The first one, the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, they've been great defensively this season, where they've had plus matchups and streaming option versus bad offenses in the last few weeks. They've versed bad offenses and put up good performances. Week 11 versus the Raiders, 13 points allowed, 2 sacks, 3 interceptions in that one. Week 12 at the Jets, another big game, 7 points allowed, 7 sacks, 2 INTs, including a 99-yard pick six on a Hail Mary before halftime. In Week 13 at the Commanders, 15 points allowed, 3 sacks, and a nice pick six. So this week, another great matchup, Monday Night Football. After a 2-game road trip, they come back home as this Dolphin team versus the Tennessee Titans that have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. And they're not really putting up points. So once again, I think Miami puts in a great performance. They make this Tennessee offense one-dimensional like they've done to a lot of offenses this season and have a great ball game. And they could be a top 3, top 5 defense easily in the rankings this week. The next DST is the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Steelers Thursday Night Football game versus one of the worst offenses in the league in the New England Patriots. I give up the second most fantasy points to DSTs on the season. So I know the Steelers, the last few weeks, the numbers haven't been all that great. Week 11 at Cleveland, 13 points allowed, a sack and INT. Week 12 at Cincinnati, 10 points allowed, 4 sacks and INT. And then Week 13 in a matchup that was great on paper, but Arizona came into Pittsburgh and had a great game. 24 points allowed and 2 sacks. But right now, this New England Patriot team really doesn't have anything going. Ramondre Stevenson, I doubt he's going to play in this game after only 3 days rest, leaving that one in Week 13 with the ankle injury. And the Steelers defense, they know they need this game. Losing 2 out of 3 right now, even though this division's wide open. And when you got a pass rusher like TJ Watt, even though he's banged up, hopefully he could play. I just think this is going to be a sloppy game all around, and this Steelers defense will make plays and put up fantasy points. The next start's the Green Bay Packers. So this Green Bay Packer team have definitely turned their season around over the last month of the season with 2 big wins in Week 12 at the Lions and then beating the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football in Week 13. So this Packer defense, they're playing good football, they're making their tackles, and they're going out there and making some plays as well. Week 11 versus the Chargers, 20 points allowed, 2 sacks, a fumble recovery. Week 12 at Detroit, a big game, 22 points allowed, 3 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, including a touchdown on the fumble recovery. In Week 13 versus the Chiefs, a high-powered offense, 19 points allowed only, 3 sacks and an INT. So this week, a great matchup on Monday Night Football at the New York Giants. I give up the most fantasy points to DSTs on the season. I know Tommy DeVito's playing good football. I know this Giant team's starting to move the ball down the field, and Saquon Barkley's still putting up numbers. But this Packer team, they got a stiff defense, and to shut down Patrick Mahomes' offense to 19 points is a great feat. So I think this week at the Giants, Monday Night Football, and the Packers in the wild card hunt, go out there and have another good performance. The next starts the Houston Texans playing the New York Jets. So right now, it could be a rough week for these New York teams at MetLife, starting with the Jets on Sunday afternoon, and then Monday Night Football with the New York Giants. So this Texan defense, they've been playing good football over the last few weeks here, and this Texan team in the wild card hunt as well. This is a game that they should go in there and beat this New York Jet team. In the last few weeks for this DST, Week 11 versus the Cardinals, 16 points allowed, 3 sacks and INT, a fumble recovery. Week 12 versus the Jaguars, 24 points allowed, and INT. In Week 13 versus Denver, 17 points allowed, 3 sacks and 3 interceptions. So this week, if it's either Trevor Siemian, Tim Boyle, or Zach Wilson, in my opinion, it doesn't matter. This Jet offensive line is horrible. These quarterbacks, they're not starting caliber quarterbacks. And this Jet team, they just didn't address that backup quarterback position all season, and definitely got them in the end here, 4-8 on the year. So right now, this Texan defense, I think they could create turnovers. I think they could get pressure on whoever the quarterback is in this game. And the Jets give up the 3rd most fantasy points to DSTs on the season, and the 5th and final defense DST I look to start this week's the Baltimore Ravens. So the Ravens coming off a bye, getting a little healthy, hopefully. The Los Angeles Rams, they could have a nice ball game. And we've seen them all season long, no matter the offense, have good fantasy days, and then one of the best defenses in terms of fantasy points this season. So the last few games before their bye, Week 10 versus Cleveland, 27 points allowed, but 4 sacks and interception, fumble recovery, touchdown. Week 11 versus Cincinnati, 20 points allowed, 5 sacks. And Week 12 with the Chargers, they shut that offense down, 10 points allowed on that Sunday night, 3 sacks, an interception, and 3 fumble recoveries. So Matthew Stafford, last few weeks, playing great football. Great weapons on the offense, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua. But I think this Baltimore Ravens team, coming off the bye, they're going to dominate Stafford, and this offensive line isn't that great. And we know Stafford has taken a lot of sacks this season and throughout his career. So I think Baltimore, once again, has a great game. So that's a few defense DST units I look to start for Week 14 of the fantasy football season.